Welcome back to the 100 Club. I'm Tom, and I'm here again to talk about short format cricket with Rich. It's been 7 days since the conclusion of the IPL mega auction. Richard, have you taken a chance to calm down since those results were announced?
Well, I was more worried about what had happened to the auctioneer on day one, but fortunately, Charu Sharma stepped in and did a fantastic job, didn't he? And it was good fun to watch and interesting to see how it played out. Not exactly how I thought it might do.
Yeah, it was interesting. And what we're going to do today is we're going to have a go at going through those squads, seeing who's been active, who's been fleeced, who's picked up the bargains, and just have a bit of an adjustment to the power rankings that we gave before the auction. See how that sort of ranking of prospects, I suppose, goes before a bowl is even bowled in the tournament, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
Okay, so these are your power rankings once again, but I have done my own, and so I will absolutely jump in and argue with you should they be wrong. All right, but let's start with perhaps someone who I don't think is too surprising to see down the bottom in our countdown of 10, and I'm afraid it's the Sunrisers Hyderabad. You've had them falling 2 slots from number 8 down to number 10. What did you think of their draft?
I thought they were very quiet in the early parts of the draft. I mean, to the point we wondered if they even had a paddle.
Yeah, I thought they'd had their paddle nicked, honestly, during the first 3 rounds.
Well, I think you look at, and the main thing that jumps out is maybe the lack of a quality spinner, Indian or overseas. Where they're going to get those overs from. I guess there's going to be a lot of pressure on Washington Sundar in that role. Also, I think Kane Williamson is a very good player, but is he enough to build the franchise around? Not sure for me. And also, I think Nicholas Pooran is can be a bit hit and miss. Obviously, he could have an incredible tournament, in which case he could be one of the best players. But I also think that he can go through quiet patches. So it feels a little bit top heavy for me. And the players that they do have, can we really rely upon them?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of that, Rich. I had them at 9 on my power rankings, so they've dropped 1 from yours last time. I agree that Washington Sundar is going to probably be asked to do too much if there's a spinning track. And Kane Williamson's got a long-standing elbow injury. We just don't know how that's going to play out. And if he's not there, then who's picking up the pieces? I guess Aidan Markram looks like a bargain at 260 lakh, but not sure about the other overseas players, really, for me.
Yeah, indeed. I think we'll see how they go. Glenn Phillips is an interesting one. Plenty of potential there, and may come in at the top of the order. So let's see.
We'll see, but they've got it all to do on our initial rankings. And next up, you've got a big faller here in the Rajasthan Royals, down from 5 down to 9. Why are you not having any faith in what Rajasthan will do this year based on the auction?
So I was just a little bit worried about the middle order, essentially. Hetmeyer, Neesham, likely to be sort of the 5-6 roles, whether we have Rian Parag coming in at 7. Ravi Ashwin will probably bat at 8. Just seems a little bit top heavy for me. Obviously, Jaiswal and Padikkal will bat in the top 4. I was just a little bit disappointed, really. They obviously retained Jos Buttler. Beyond Butler, I don't think they did an awful lot in terms of picking up overseas players here, and I just think that they kind of missed a trick or two.
This is one I disagree with you on. I've got Rajasthan Royals up to 3, actually. I had them moving up based on their draft. For me, there's a good balance to the squad. And I think they've picked up some bargains. I like Rassi van der Dusen at 100 lakh. I think Obid McCoy could actually do something in the tournament if he gets going. Trent Bolt is a proven quantity. I think that's a good, a couple of options there from the overseas players. And then I really like Yuzvendra Chahal, Ravi Ashwin, a bargain, I think, possibly at 500 lakh. I think that's got decent balance all the way through for me.
No, I just think if they go with Coulter-Nile, then they look a batter short. Whereas if they go with Neesham in that middle order, then death bowling could be an issue. So,
yeah, well,
that was my views on Rajasthan.
We'll see for that.
I think the interesting thing with Rajasthan is obviously they were lauded for their draft strategy in earlier editions, but I think a lot of the other teams have caught up now.
Well, yeah, I definitely think that they haven't had their strongest ever draft. That's for sure. But I don't think they're quite the basket case you think. But that's fine. We will have a cricket tournament to see who wins between our opinions. The Gujarat Titans, not the Tennessee Titans, they still haven't got a logo, so I've appropriated the NFL logo there. Had a pretty quiet draft as well. I don't know how you felt about it. I had them dropping down to 10 actually on my rankings. You've got them dropping down a place to 8. What was your feelings with them?
So I think they just look a little bit light at the top of the order. I like the look of the lower middle order. I think the bowling is okay. I think Lockie Ferguson is a decent option coming in. I think you always need that pace. I'm excited about Dominic Drake's, having watched him in the CPL. But it's how they line up in that top 4. And sort of ESPN had them as, Jason Roy, Shubman Gill, Vijay Shankar, and Abhinav Manowar as their top 4. Likely starting with sort of Matt Wade coming in at 5. And it's not that these are, I think the issue you have with sort of IPL power ranking is that the teams are so strong across the board that it's not like saying that is a bad top 4. It's not. It's just I think other top 4s are stronger. So I think that's probably where I sort of score them down a little bit in the inexperience in the batting.
Yeah, and their auction strategy was slightly weird for me. They didn't bother to pick up a wicketkeeper at all until the very last rounds, and then they picked up Widiman Sahar and Matthew Wade. But it was almost like they hadn't really considered that, or didn't strike me with confidence that they had a real strategy going in the auction.
I don't have so much of an issue with that. I think that in a T20 game, I think the wicketkeeper sees maybe 15 to 20 balls max, that beat the bat. And obviously after that, it's basically, kind of collecting throws from the deep and being sort of tactical, etc. So I don't see wicketkeeper as being an absolute critical position.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying the quality of either Sahar or Wade either. I mean, that's fine. It's just the way that they allowed that sort of to slip through to the end almost for me.
Indeed, but I always think in T20 you can almost give a decent, a batsman who can field well, you can give him the gloves.
Okay.
I think the one other issue with Gujarat is, Hardik Pandya in the last few years has struggled a bit with injury. Can he be relied upon to bowl 4 overs in every game?
Well, I don't see it myself. And if we're talking about that as well, we're talking about the top order options. Maybe if you want a bit more experience up there, maybe you move someone like Matthew Wade up the order a bit, but then that just robs Peter to pay Paul, to use the phrase, and then the middle order looks a little less strong as well. So we'll see. Next up, you have the Delhi Capitals falling 3 slots. I wasn't as skeptical. I kept them at 4 in my rankings, but you've got them down at 7. What have they done wrong to upset Rich?
So I think there's sort of an element of kind of recency bias in that Warner did well in the T20 World Cup and has had a reasonable Australian summer. And obviously Mitch Marsh was strong in that tournament in the BBL as well. But neither were great in the last edition of the IPL. So I think sort of basing top of the order around those two, I'd rather go with their most recent body of the work in the IPL. And I think the other issue there is we loved Delhi last year for the quality of that bowling attack. And I don't think they're quite as strong as they were this time around. They've lost Rabada, they've lost Avesh Khan. Yes, they brought in sort of Shardul Thakur. And you've got Kuldeep Yadav in there, so they're still good, but I just don't think they're as dominant a bowling lineup as they were before.
No, I think it'd be difficult to be that dominated. I do share some of the concerns you've got there, but if on their day, and actually probably more often than not for me, I think that's got a really exciting top order batting lineup for me. I don't know. I guess not as worried.
I guess it comes down to were those struggles that Warner had at Hyderabad, were they really to do with form, or was there something going on behind the scenes between him and the management that just wasn't being conducive to him playing well? So will he be back to the guy who's won however many orange caps it is, or will he be the most recent addition? I've sort of gone with the recent body of work here rather than the history. That's
fair. And there is another concern, which is the Anrik Nortje injury, which he's carrying, and we trust he'll be back, but there's no guarantee. He hasn't played in months now. So we'll see whether he's back, because he could be a big part of that picture as well.
Yeah, and even more important now that we go to a 10-team league. So it's going to be 18 games through the regular season, plus the playoffs on top. So teams will need to rotate in a way that perhaps they haven't in sort of earlier editions of the IPL. So things like carrying injuries into the tournament will become a bigger issue.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Mumbai Indians, the Hollywood team of the IPL, as you call them, Rich, slipping 5 places. And believe it or not, I had them slipping even more, down to 8th. You've got them at 6th. They had a shocking auction, in my opinion. And it appears you'd agree.
Well, I mean, they obviously had one target on day one, and that was to get Ishan Kishan, which they achieved, spending over 15 crore.
Fetch the bag, as they say.
Which was great, because that was, as we say, that was a real Bollywood signing. Most exciting young, uncapped batter. You bring him in, but after that, you say that it looks a little bit odd. We love Timar Mills as a player, but has struggled in terms of keeping himself healthy on the field.
Has struggled in the IPL.
Yeah, but I'm more concerned about sort of the getting through 18 games.
Yeah.
Tim David, who you're a flavour of the month.
Yeah.
Singapore's favourite cricketer. He comes in at nearly just under 1 crore as well.
Well, he's a dollar millionaire. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then this sort of strange sort of courting of Jofra Archer, who we don't think is going to be around this season, potentially around next season. You don't quite know. I'm always sort of the mind, pick the team for today. Worry less about tomorrow, as the LA Rams have taught us in the NFL recently.
Well, there's that. Let's not go derailed. I mean, if you take out the retained players and Archer, who's not going to play, Tim David and Ishan Kishan, then they've spent nothing on the remainder of the squad. Literally, 300 lakh for Dil Brevis and Daniel Sams. I like Daniel Sams, but I'm not sure he's going to change the IPL.
Yeah,
I mean, I just don't see it in the depth.
Indeed. And Dil Brevis would be an interesting one. The young South African who impressed. But again, it's a strong squad, but maybe not. It doesn't stand out as favourites, because it's not sort of. It's not sort of exciting and new, but it's also not necessarily the old retained core either. So
but that's it. They've lost Quinton de Kock. They've lost the Pandya brothers. And is Fabian Allen going to come in and do the job? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. A riser, our first riser of the day, in the Kolkata Knight Riders. Rich, what did you like about what they've done in the auction?
I like the fact that KKR just look like they have a philosophy. We know they have a philosophy, and you got the 2 Ias, Venkatesh and Shreyas Iyer up at the top of the order. Nitesh Rana will probably bat at 4. Rahane be in there, and then you've sort of got that overseas, lower middle spine. I think Billings will play as the keeper.
I do
batter.
too. Yeah.
Dre Russ. Then Sunil Narayan, a very canny, can hit a long ball, very good bowler. Pat Cummins again, fantastic bowler, also can hit a long ball. As we know, boundary hitting is the key in short format cricket. You need players, 1 to 9 who can find the ropes, and I think that's what they have here. It's sort of it's a very KKR looking team.
Yeah, I'm happy enough with them. I've got them dropping actually down to 7, and there's a couple of reasons for that. For me, I think they probably can't find a space for their best opener in Alex Hales, because they will have too many overseas players that they need to put in. And also, we want to see the captaincy. I mean, I guess Shreyas Iyer is going to be the captain now. The Owen Morgan reign of terror is over, but we don't know what he's going to be like and whether that's going to work out for KKR. Are you confident in his captaincy?
Yeah, I think it's a bit like wicket keeping. I think that a lot of captaincy in T20 can be planned out between the captain and the coach. And also, I don't think you have the strategic timeout in the IPL. So if things aren't quite working out, you do have that 2.5 minutes huddle where the coach can come and bring some ideas. Plus, you have Pat Cummins in that team as well.
Yeah,
Australian national captain. Sam Billings, if he wicket keeps, is a captain both in the 100 but also at county level. Dre Russ and Narayan are very experienced players as well. So he's got a sort of a leadership group around him who can give him advice through the game as well. So I think he'll do okay.
Okay, all right. You may reassure me there. A big riser, and you're backing your own horse again, Rich, with the Punjab Kings. I agree that they had a really good auction. I'm resisting the opportunity to call it a draft, an auction. You've got them up to 4th from 10th. I've got them up to 5th as well because they've added some pretty grandstand players, I would call them.
Yeah, maybe this is sort of me being giddy rather than and maybe reflects sort of the fact that they didn't mess up. Famously they have messed up drafts in the past, but I didn't think they messed up this draft. I thought they put together a very well balanced team. I think Livingston is probably the most exciting T20 player in the world right now, for a combination of his batting, but also his bowling has come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
that ability to bowl, both off spin and leg spin to right and left, means he is a genuine all rounder now for me. So I think that made sense to go around him. I think Rabada is as good as it gets in terms of overseas pace. I love Bairstow as well. Bairstow has been very good in the IPL in the past. Makes sense that he comes in there, and it's built around a very good, Indian spine. Mayank Agrawal, Shikhar Dhawan, I think was a very canny signing.
Very good.
Rahul Chahar coming in. So I think it looks like a pretty well balanced team.
Yeah, I really like the look of it. Well, fingers crossed that they can actually do something this year to sort out those long-suffering fans, eh?
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's see how they get on.
Okay, another big riser in your power rankings, Rich, are the Lucknow Supergiants, who've jumped 6 places as well, up to 3rd. I was less impressed. I had them up to 6th. What is it that took a hold of your interest?
So I just sort of like the balance through the side. I thought I liked the experience at the top. I think KL Rahul and Quinton de Kock will be a particularly effective opening pair. And then I like the look of the bowling, particularly sort of Jason Holder coming in, fulfilling that all-rounder role. And then you add to that, Avesh Khan, Ravi Bishnoi. Bishnoi was fantastic last year. And then Mark Wood, I think, gives an extra option in terms of the pace. And then, of course, Krunal Pandya as well, who will sort of anchor the side of 6. That enables that quite deep batting enables sort of the Stoinis and Huda in the middle order to be very aggressive, play their natural games. So I just like the I like the look of it.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, there's a few players. I mean, I think they definitely improved on the basis of the auction and how that's played through. And I thought their auction strategy was good. They were active. I still think there's a few question marks over the like of Marcus Stoinis. I don't really always know how Jason Holder is going to perform in the IPL, perhaps. I don't know. Just some unknowns there for me, but makes me a bit more nervous. But I could absolutely, as you say, see them pulling it off with some good results. A non-mover at number 2, and a non-mover in mine as well. I still have them at number 2. The Royal Challengers Bangalore. They've had a solid draft, but the most interesting perhaps was the bidding that we saw on Wanindu Hasaranga. Did you see that coming, Rich?
There's always seems to be a premium at the minute for your mystery spin, and that's obviously what you get with Hasaranga. Plus, you get range hitting. So I can see why that was the sort of player that would attract a big bid, and they'd obviously identified that early. Obviously, they went big on Harshal Patel as well, and stole Josh Hazlewood from and Faf du Plessis over from CSK. So it's sort of proven performance, isn't it? Throughout the side there, plus a few kind of players that we've had an eye on over the last few years, the likes of Finn Allen, who and Shafane Rutherford, who might add something relatively cheap overseas players.
Yeah, and David Willey, we'll see whether he'll get a game or not. But I mean, he's an interesting prospect, and I think will certainly add something to the squad at depth, at least. I think he'll
feature, just as that left arm option.
Yeah, I really like the Hasaranga signing personally. I think he's had an outstanding 12 months, and I do think he's worth the money. But we'll see. He needs to prove it now, right? DK, has he still got it in him?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of experience, useful around the squad. I think the better, like the proven franchises like RCB and CSK, they're not afraid of bringing in somebody with a bit of experience.
Yeah,
they know they can get the best out of them.
Yeah, I think he'll feature, but I also think they will have Rawat in there as well at the top of the order. He's an exciting prospect. So plenty to like about the RCB squad. A really strong core. Let's see how they go. And of course, that only leaves the Chennai Super Kings at the top of the rankings. And again, I agreed with you. I had them at the top as well, based on their draft, their auction performance. For me, on this occasion, I just I like the retentions. I like who they brought in, and I think they've been really clever in terms of sort of maintaining the winning ethos, if not the winning spirit of their team, if not even the winning players. So, for instance, if you lose a Josh Hazlewood, bring in an Adam Milne. I really like that. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, I like the fact that the spine was still recognisable. Gaikwad opening the batting, Moeen at 3, Raud at 4, Dhoni, Jadeja at 6. Bravo in there as well.
Well, bring in how about a Devon Conway instead of Faf du Plessis?
And obviously Deepak Chahar as well. Anchoring that bowling unit. It's sort of it's a very experienced lineup. They'll just carry on from where they were last year in terms of their style of play. So I mean that's why I had the rank first. I think Conway makes sense as a replacement for Faf. Probably not quite as good as Faf, but I think he can fulfill that role. And as you said, Milne, for Hazlewood, slightly different type of bowlers. Milne's obviously a bit kind of skiddier, more about sort of raw pace, whereas Hazlewood's a bit more sort of pace and bounce. But certainly made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and if you are a CSK fan, you can check out our interview with Adam Milne. Actually, he's an interesting guy, really nice guy. On our channel, I'll stick the link up above right now. But I think that does look like a pre-tournament favourite for me. That squad. Overall, I mean, how confident do you think you could be in these power rankings, or is it still the case with T20 generally that any day anyone can win any game?
I think anyone can win it on the day. I think we've seen through a decade of the IPL that it's not purely random. The better franchises tend to do better each year, and that's obviously to do with the fact that they recruit well, they game plan well, and they execute better on the day. So the fact that we have CSK and RCB at the top there, two of the better franchises, is no surprise to that. I think MI was an interesting one. I think we said in the preview before that we thought that last year was a bit of a blip and they would be back in contention. We haven't been that impressed by their auction, so let's see if we're wrong on that one. Plus, I'm really interested to see how LUCKNOW go, because obviously they have no track record. They're a new franchise, but I really like their team on paper.
Yeah, well, they've got the Pune heritage, but absolutely a new franchise. We like the look of it. I mean, one thing I didn't mention on Mumbai Indians as well, I don't see the spin option there, but maybe that's for a future chat, Rich. That was a quick rattle through the squads. If you disagree with our power rankings, then let us know. Love to hear from you below on the comment section. Hit the like button. We'd really appreciate that. And give us a subscribe as well. That'd be grand. But otherwise, that's our feelings on the IPL right now. And we'll catch you next time on the 100 Club.
Bye.